Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. So today it's how to scale your technology suite using innovation, and it's a case study with one of our partners, British law firm Mills Reeve. So just to explain a little bit about the format, it's going to be a little bit more casual today. So it's designed to be a bit of a conversational webinar rather than death by PowerPoint. There will be some slides, but hopefully not too many. So. Sorry, let's introduce you to who we've got. So you've got myself. Luckily, I won't be doing too much talking today. My three guests from Mills Reeve are Emma Jackson, who's the Client Innovation Manager, Grace McWilliam, who's the Innovation Engagement Advisor, and Angie Morley, who's the Project and Innovation Trainee. And they'll introduce themselves in a little while. So what's the agenda? So our agenda today is the problems and challenges that led to the need for a different solution, and why an app was chosen to overcome the challenge, and then why law firms choose Fliplet as a whole, and then what the Mills Reeve suite of apps are doing and the innovation challenges they've had to overcome. And then they'll look at the outcomes and the principles that they're using in innovation. And they've also got some great tips for you to take away and how to scale your technology using them. And then we will have questions and answers at the end and a very quick survey. We're aiming to be around 45 minutes today. So let me stop sharing and let's have a quick introduction. So perhaps if my guests from Mills Reeve would like to just give a very quick introduction of your roles and how you do Fliplet.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'll kick off. I'm Angie and I'm one of the first of two project and innovation trainees at Mills Reeve. So I started in September 2019, so pre-chaos pandemic. And in September of this year, I'll become a project and innovation advisor, and I sit within the client innovation team in the KLD department with Grace and Emma. And I became involved in using Fliplet just after I first started, actually, at the back end of 2019, where we started developing our What the Tech app, which we'll tell you about later. And I'm now using it with our accelerator program apps. Over to you, Grace.
Hi everybody, I'm Grace. I'm the Innovation Engagement Advisor for Mills Reeve. So I'm actually currently on secondment from the Birmingham Employment, Pensions and Immigration team, where I was a Senior Executive Assistant for 2 years prior to starting my secondment. So my role in a nutshell is to make sure that our people internally and our clients are engaged with any innovation initiatives, and that they're aware of the tech solutions that are available to help them. My first introduction to Fliplet was on the accelerator program that Angie just mentioned. So I've been working closely with Joe at Fliplet, Angie and various internal teams at Mills Reeve to build 4 new apps for the firm. So we've been building these apps for the past couple of months, and some are more ready than others, but they all look brilliant and all the internal teams are really happy with their sort of almost finished apps. So I'll pass on to Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma Jackson. I'm the Client Innovation Manager at Mills Reeve. I've been with the firm for 16 years, obviously not always in this role because it didn't exist back in the mid-noughties when I joined the firm. But I started off as a legal secretary and then after a couple of years moved over to IT and was actually an IT trainer and worked on the support desk for 10 years. So had quite a technical background from there. Before moving over to work on projects, and all the nice shiny whizzy technology projects came my way, and that was where client innovation came from at Mills Reeve. As for Fliplet, back in, it was 2019, our head of IT infrastructure, Dave Bradshaw, was aware of Fliplet and had been speaking to Chris and some of the guys over at Fliplet for quite a while, I believe, before it was handed over to me, and I was introduced to Chris. We began exploring a partnership with Fliplet some months later, towards the end of 2019, and we wanted to try something, but we weren't quite sure where to start at that point.
Brilliant. Fantastic introductions. Thank you all. Some great experience. And yeah, Emma, I can't believe it's nearly 2 years, I think it is already, and I've just joined the firm. So let's get started then. So what we really love to understand first is I suppose the situation prior to creating the app. And were there any specific challenges in the firm and problems you were experiencing? How did you go about identifying the requirements for the solution? And then we'll talk about the solution you went with.
Yeah, sure. So we began with an issue that's probably faced by many innovation teams all over, really, in that we had several legal technology and client-facing solutions, and quite a lot of technology that was available to our lawyers and to any of their clients. But there was so many different things that nobody actually knew, well, nobody apart from our team knew what everything was, knew what it did, knew what to use for which. And it was quite difficult for that. So as an innovation team, we were really overstretching our resource daily, just directing people to the correct solution. There was a real desire to provide a solution to our internal teams to improve their awareness of all the solutions that we had available in order to help them help their clients. And that was really the sort of catalyst of what we decided to do. We'd started doing workflows and pictures and mapping out questions. We were asked regularly, and our sort of frequently asked answers. So that we could give people some kind of guide, but they were quite large, if I'm honest, they were quite ugly. They weren't very pretty. And we decided that there must be a better way, and we wanted to use technology to educate people about technology. And an app really just fitted that kind of perfectly.
Brilliant. And it does sound like you went through a number of internal meetings, innovation sessions, and things like that. How were they? Was it a long process?
It was quite a long process to come up with the idea, in that we had loads of workshops, tons of people being involved. But it was really trying to get things out of our head onto, at that point, paper. And then when we did decide we were going to do an app, we decided we wanted to launch it at our partner business day, which was the end of November 2019.
Brilliant.
And it was a fortnight off when we decided we wanted to do it.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. No, fantastic, brilliant. And I know we'll talk later about what the partnership is now and how we work together now, but I know from some of those early conversations, that's why you've had other app ideas and how you've gone about creating other applications since. So fantastic, Emma, thank you. And I suppose one last thing on that before we move on is, was there anything specific that helped you choose Fliplet?
Apart from you, Chris,
well,
there was definitely, it was how easy it was going to be. So, I mean, Angie, do you want to talk about why we chose Fliplet?
Yeah. So, as Emma was saying, we chose Fliplet mainly because of the ease of use of the platform, and being a low-code software. It meant that, as Emma said earlier, we did have 2 weeks to kind of turn something around, and that sort of fell on my shoulders. And I have very limited /no app building experience prior to this. Therefore, Fliplet was such a great software to enable us to kind of turn this solution around quickly. And it also meant that it was self-led approach, so we could kind of work out what we wanted, and I could build most of it. But also there was support there from Joe at Fliplet, who was always there to kind of help with those little things that I couldn't do. But the rest of it was simple enough, and the platform was so easy to use. And it just helped us because obviously we started from a piece of paper essentially, and therefore getting it onto into an app was it was down to the Fliplet platform really.
Brilliant, fantastic. No, good to hear, brilliant. Just to remind everybody, I had a slight technical hitch at the start. So just to remind you, if you do have any questions for any of us as we're speaking, please pop them in chat, and my very glamorous assistant, Kyle, will ask those out to us at the end of the webinar. So thank you. And thank you, Angie, brilliant. So let's talk about the initial solution you went with then, which was What the Tech, which I love the name. Do you want to, one of you just want to talk us through what it is, how it works, what it does? That'd be brilliant. And while you do that, I'll share some screenshots.
Sure, yeah. What the Tech, the name was almost a joke at first, but then Emma decided that it was what it should be called, so we went with that, and I think it's pretty good. So essentially what the tech was developed to kind of help internal people understand what technology we have, how they can use it best, and also to kind of reach out to people within the business that know kind of most about it. So basically it worked on a decision tree functionality. So it makes sure that you can say you say, oh, I have this problem. It's about this information and this is what I want to do with it. And it will take you through the decision tree and then onto a page where it tells you basically what that technology can do. And also it gives you some sales packs, which are useful for kind of lawyers heading out onto kind of sales pitches or having those client conversations. It means that there's that relevant information and it's in a concise format across the board. There's also the Ask the Team function, which makes sure that people can contact us in the client innovation team for further information. And also there's links through to a staff directory, which contains information about what we call techsperts. And they are, you can also reach these from each technology page. So if you, for example, have a specific question about Fliplet technology, you can contact your techspert and it will come up with the people who know most about that technology. So we basically just wanted it as an internal app to kind of get all those frequently asked questions and all those sort of the questions that come up time and time again, or what can I use for this, or what does this technology do, kind of put it into one place so that people can really find out more and get sort of that concise information. And Emma, I don't know if you wanted to add any more on that.
Yeah, I think it was really important to us that we used terminology that our lawyers used throughout the whole app. So quite a lot of people know. So one of the technologies on here is Fliplet, but some of the lawyers will just know that as the app building software. So we had to ask the questions in the right way in order to guide them to the right technology. But the key to innovation for us really is engagement. And it's no use having all this technology if nobody knows about it, knows where to find it, knows how to use it. So what the tech's really sort of helped improve engagement across the firm. It's given all the lawyers the tools they need to understand what the tech can do for them and their clients, and it's all just in their pocket, which is great. And we've always been, well, at the firm, innovation's been part of our strategy for over 5 years, but we've always believed that it's no one person's job, it's everybody's. And although we're a team of people who can help, it's not our sole responsibility to do that. So the fact that we've got Fliplet and everybody can be involved and everybody can access it really makes a difference, and they like it. It's shiny and it gives them what they need when they need it.
Fantastic, superb. So I've got a couple of follow-ups. I love the way that on the first screenshot there, you've managed to just get the awards bit in, but you've not mentioned it. I think that was really clever, Emma. Well done.
What can I say?
Because I believe it is a multi-award winning app as well. So
well, yes, there is that. I'm quite proud of that one.
We should just mention that. We are too. Just a couple of quick questions then. You may know the answers, or you may just be able to give us a rough idea. So do you know roughly how many pieces of technology you have in the firm? Because I know some law firms that I've been quoted as like 130 odd. I presume it's quite a lot of Mills and Reeves as well, so it makes it far easier.
So there's over 100 comfortably. Right. In what the tech, we've really focused on the client-facing technology. So right. If we went too broad, I mean, we're actually working on a sort of what the internal tech, that's one of the ideas for a future app. But this is really client-facing technology. When people attended pitches, what did they need to know in their pocket when they're in a taxi on the way? That kind of thing.
Brilliant. Perfect. And one last question, just a bit of feedback from the users. I know you've had some amazing feedback. Just what has the overall feedback been from the users?
They absolutely love it. One, they love the fact that it is award-winning. Everyone likes to say that. Absolutely. But it is. It's just how easy it is. it also means that they're not dependent on emailing me and it going into a bit of a black hole and then waiting for a response from me. This is just a really easy way for them to get the information that is, the people in our team just know it, but you can't expect 1,000 other people to just know it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
This is just they just love how simple it is to get hold of what they need.
Brilliant, fantastic. No, brilliant. Really appreciate that. Thank you for a really good insight of what the tech. So, moving on then, I know after that you were thrown a bit of a curveball for what we've been through over the last 18 months, I suppose, and you then created, I think, a really interesting and a very different app called Life Questions. Could you just talk us through a little bit of that?
We did. So, Life Questions is a COVID response app. And the beauty of having Fliplet meant that we could react quite quickly at the start of the pandemic. And it actually provides, well, it's been handed to NHS and other key workers. And it's information to help them get their affairs in order. It's not a particularly pleasant app, but it is something that we all felt really passionately about. Again, we turned it around in about a fortnight. Angie did an awful lot of the work building Live Questions, but we worked with some of our the lawyers in our private client team, one of whose wife was a GP, and that was where it had sort of come from. But there's been over 20,000 interactions with it since it was launched. I'm very proud of this one because it obviously, makes a difference. But it was never done as a way of sort of a promotion, if you like. It really was. We worked for a lot of NHS clients and it went out to all of them. Even the, can I get more advice? It directs you to the step bit of the Law Society website. None of it points you back to Mills Reeve to create actual wills and appoint guardians and things like that. But it did provide the really core advice that was so desperately needed at the time.
Brilliant, and I think that's fantastic. And again, having worked with you guys now for nearly 2 years, that sums you up. Let's talk about what the tech and the award, but this one went under the radar. You hardly talk about it. You certainly don't talk about it publicly, but no, fantastic. And Angie, I think we'll interview you for a job in CS very soon because you've done some amazing things. So well done. That is a really good, great example. So that's the first two things you did, and then obviously the partnership we've had as two companies has developed greatly, certainly over the last 12 months, 18 months, and clearly working well. You've clearly had other ideas of what to do as far as innovation and applications is concerned. So what was next? Talk us through the journey of where you went next and where you are now.
Yeah, so I'll take this one. I feel like I'm a bit late to the partnership with Fliplet because I only started in this role last October. So I sort of arrived into my secondment, and Emma had already agreed a enterprise agreement with Fliplet, which means we can build as many apps as we like going forward, which is brilliant. So Emma had a sort of a long list of apps that internal teams had requested over the past couple of years and months. So I went through that list to weigh up which apps would be of most value to us as a team. So the point of this was that we could learn how to develop apps for ourselves in the future, and also most value to the firm and our clients. So we started to build the 4 new apps as part of our accelerator program. So we've been, the accelerator program is sort of guided by Fliplet on these first 4 apps to sort of learn what we're doing and learn how to develop apps in the future. So we've been having weekly meetings with Jo, who is brilliant, to bring our app plans to life. But it's been a really interesting learning curve, as apps, and let alone building apps, was completely new to me. And a lot of the teams who are part of these app builds are completely new to building apps as well. So to start with, we would tell Jo what we needed and she would sort of help us go through it and do it for us essentially. But now most of the teams and definitely myself have the confidence to tinker with the app content for ourselves. So it's definitely very much a self-serve partnership. Fliplet have provided the tools and the skills to be able to develop future apps, but they're still on hand to give us some probably quite needed help and to teach us what to do. So first app, this is the one that I could talk about forever, so I'll try and get through it quite quickly because this is mine and Angie's baby. But Mills Reeve On The Go is our only internal app out of the 4 that we're building on the accelerator programme. So we think this is going to be particularly helpful for new joiners or for those who aren't necessarily new anymore but haven't really ventured into any of our offices because they've been working remotely for the past 18 months plus. So this app basically is for anybody on the go, and we think it will just be an easier way for colleagues to access really helpful bite-sized information that's going to be useful as they start to get out and about a bit more. So the features are quite simple, but hopefully will be really useful and a reminder for people who have been at the firm for quite a long time. So the sort of features on there are there's a directory, which is a simple concept, but it includes the ability to detail your intended whereabouts for the week. So you could mark that you're going to be working from home, in the office, not working, or working out on a client site or somewhere else. But then you can filter your directory by your team or your sort of smaller working group to get an overview of where everybody's going to be for the week, which is helpful for hybrid working. There's office information on there, so there's images of each office so you know what you're looking for. This would have been really helpful when I was lost in Manchester before trying to find our Mills Reeve office. But there's basic information on all 5 offices, so meeting rooms, travel information, car parks, local coffee spots if you haven't been before and you want to know where to grab a coffee. So that might be handy. There's sort of various office admin such as desk booking and access to our core HR portal, which has holiday on there and checking if other members of the team are on holiday. And then there's also just bite-sized policy information. So usually where you'd have to go into our intranet and sift through quite a hefty document to find sort of relevant information on travel or expenses or sickness policies, we've picked out the key points and popped them onto the app, so you can sort of find out how much you're allowed to spend on a can of Coke while you're on the train without going through an entire expense policy. So that's Mills Reeve On The Go, and I think Angie's going to talk through the next one.
Yeah, so M&R events is essentially what it says on the tin, really. So it's everything to do with M&R events in one app, and it is intended to be client-facing, and at the moment we're just in the testing phase, so we have a little bit to go on that. But the basic functionality is it has all the information about upcoming events, so it will give you date, time, topic, cost. It will also give you speaker details and kind of their direct email and LinkedIn pages and things like that. And it gives you a description of what the event is about, the target audience, and that means that people can sign up to the most relevant events that is kind of valuable and interesting to them. And it also gives direct event team contact at Mills Reeve, so to ensure that if there's any issues, people can directly get in touch. And you can also filter all the events by sector, services, location, things like that, again to make sure that it's most relevant to you. And also it's a kind of a central portal where pre and post event materials can be put. And what I quite like about it is that you build your profile on there, and then once you've done that, you don't have to kind of put your details in every single time you want to sign up to an event, which is really, really handy, because there are, some places where you have to fill in what your dietary requirements are every single time. But this is all included within your profile. So yeah, that's I think M&R events in a nutshell.
Superb. Thank you, Angie.
So the next one is Launchpad, which again is an external facing app, but it's basically just an app version of our Launchpad Pro offering, which gives early stage technology companies and scale ups access to various benefits. So there's sort of lawyer access, need to know guides, legal priority checklists, access to the Launchpad community, and sort of template legal documents. So this was an interesting one because initial login provides access to Launchpad, which is almost sort of the bronze package, which houses firm news and access to webinar recordings, key contact directories, information about the initiative and basic need to know guide. So that's sort of your very much your basic information. But then the app admin team, so the Launchpad team behind the scenes, then have the ability to upgrade individuals to Launchpad Pro status, which is sort of your gold status, which unlocks additional content. So they'll have very specific M&R team details and access to a community for Launchpad Pro users, grant and funding opportunity information. It's a bit more specific and a bit more in depth, and they sort of unlock further features by being Launchpad Pro users. So that's Launchpad. And then Milestones was suggested from a group of commercial disputes partners who wanted to create an app that would be a touch point for clients once commercial work was completed. So I'm not a lawyer, so forgive me if this is in any way incorrect, but once a client matter is finished, clients often receive a contract full of dates to comply with, dates and milestones. And then that's often the end of our client transaction. So the app lets the Mills and Reeve teams add that specific project to the client's app as a sort of additional touch point once the transaction has finished. So the Mills and Reeve client team would add the project onto the app with sort of the various milestones that have been picked out of that contract at the end of the matter. And then the client has the ability to sort of flex their reminders. So if they wanted to have a 1 week reminder rather than a 1 month reminder on one of the milestones, then they have the ability to tweak that themselves. And it's just an opportunity to add on a sort of client touch point where the contact would maybe often stop after the work is completed. So the app just gives the clients that extra touch point with the firm and includes, again, sort of Mills and Reeve news, team information, event information, and then of course they've got their personalised project list with various milestones and key date reminders, just to remind them that we're still here and we're still here to help them if they need anything.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well, I've got many questions, so I can't ask them all. I'll save some for the end and add them to other people's questions. But a couple of things I'd say is, one is, Grace, I think you've undone yourself by saying you've only been here a short time, because the impact you've had over since October has been amazing and fantastic across the whole project. And I think the other thing I like working together with you guys is that the apps you've decided to do as part of the program cover internal, external, different areas of the business, so many features. It's no wonder Angie is an absolute expert in Fliplet now. So no, it's fantastic, and they are really fully featured apps. So brilliant and great information there. So thank you so much. So now on to moving on to the next bit, which I'm excited about. And I think we're coming back to you now, Emma. So it's top tips to scale your technology suite using innovation.
Yes, so this is me. So the apps the ladies have just been telling you about, they're fantastic. I mean, that's 4 brilliant apps, but there's more on the way. There's definitely going to be, we've got quite a pipeline already. So top tips, innovation needs to be, I mentioned this earlier, but it needs to be everybody's responsibility to input into it. No one person or one team can do it for the entire business. It has to be everybody's choice to go on the journey and input into the strategy and the agenda. Having a dedicated team with the right level of enthusiasm and proactivity and willingness to give things a try is really key, though. And that's, Angie and Grace have both leaped into that head first, to be honest. And that is what makes a difference. It's everybody's responsibility, but you still need to have people who are driving it, and a willingness to sort of be proactive, give new things a try. We feel very strongly that we need to listen to the clients and the teams. We do workshops with everybody who wants to do anything innovation wise, really, but particularly around apps, because we don't want to give somebody what we think they want. We want to give them exactly what they need. And quite often that can be, you know, a lengthy process to make sure that it is that you are doing the right thing in the right way in order to fix the problem, rather than just guess at what the issue might be and try and solve that for them. Reacting quickly. So when something comes through, we do need to respond to it quickly and let them know that it is people. We have an innovation hub and people put ideas on there, and then if they don't hear anything back, they assume it's never going to happen. So we do have to react quickly, keep people in the loop, make sure that everybody knows exactly what is going on. And as part of that reaction with Fliplet, we can now prototype things really quickly. So we can turn something around in days, whereas previously, I mean, it could have been years, decades maybe, but we can turn things around a lot quicker. It also means we can fail fast. If something isn't going to work and we know it's not going to work very early on, we can turn it off as quickly as we turned it on. It's absolutely fine. Managing our stakeholders is really tough and key, I would think. We always, for every app that we create and every solution we offer, we have to check in with the risk team, make sure that we're covered by insurance, information security and data are happy. They're going to tick us off that we've got T's and C's if we need them, and support in place to manage the app after rollout, which I mean means that we need to involve our IT team really early on. We're very lucky in that Dave in IT has been involved since the beginning, but making sure that we've got Apple accounts and that kind of thing so that we can roll the apps out. But the really key one is listen to Fliplet. They know what they're doing. They give us the best advice possible. And that does make a huge difference. They tell us that app's not going to get through Apple unless you do this or however it is. But without that advice, we'd fall at the first hurdle, to be honest. And it is really key. So they're my top tips.
Brilliant. I think they're great. The only thing I'm disappointed in is I had 2 questions I was writing down and you've answered them as you spoke in the last few minutes. You've ruined my questions. And I think you're right. I think, again, it is about partnership. But I think one of my questions was going to be around stakeholders. And I think that's where having somebody like Grace and you know, Angie and Emma working as a team, it means you can manage internal stakeholders between you, manage expectations along with us, and it is a partnership. We're very honest with each other, which works really well. So thank you so much. I think that's excellent. Thank you. So I've got to do a little bit of work now. So only very quickly, just conscious there might be a few people on the call that don't know too much about Fliplet. So I'm going to give you a very much a 1 minute flying lesson on what Fliplet is. So basically, as you've heard today, it's an application builder platform. Most of it is pre-built, so it's 90% pre-built. You can optimize it with code. So if you've got JavaScript or CSS knowledge, you can make the apps even more powerful. But because it is prefab, a lot of it is pre-built for you. So there's actual app templates as well as screen templates, and everything is highly configurable. The layouts, the formatting, etc., and the features. A number of the features are just drag and drop, so easy for anybody. I'm not technical at all, and I've built a couple of decent apps myself. Publishing and distribution, a wide range, so you can publish to public app stores, to enterprise app stores, as Emma alluded to a minute ago. Apple are not the easiest to deal with, so we help you with that. We help you get through that process. You can also do responsive web apps and also download via a file. So distribution is covered in all areas. And then just quickly, the infrastructure of the app is all handled for you by Fliplet. So from the data management, the app access, the operating system updates, and then through to analytics. So you have a whole suite of analytics for all of the apps that you produce and publish within the Fliplet Studio platform. So very much a quick 1 minute overview, but it just gives you an idea on the back of what everybody else has talked about today. So we are going to move to Q&A. However, we're going to do something slightly different now. So just for 30 seconds, a minute, I'm going to leave this on the screen. So we just welcome you just to point your camera at the QR code, or hopefully, and I can't see the chat, but hopefully my colleague has put a link to it in the chat as well if you want to do it that way. But it's a very quick 1 minute survey. We'd love to get your feedback on the webinar. We do a number of these, and we do change them and adapt them and choose the subjects based on the feedback you give us. So if you can, point your camera, do the survey. That would be absolutely fantastic. So I'll leave it up there for another 30 seconds or a minute while my colleague Kyle takes his mic off mute and tells me we've got loads of questions for Mills and Reeves.
We do have loads of questions, Chris, although Emma did answer 2 or 3 of those in the last section.
I will be speaking to Emma about giving far too much to ruin the questions.
But that's fine. We do have some.
Brilliant.
So some of them should be fairly easy to answer, hopefully. First one is, how did you go about promoting the apps internally?
So what the tech, we actually went to the partner business day. So this was when we could see each other in person, but there was every one of our partners across all of our offices was in a big room for a day, and we ran a session there, and it was a really interesting session. So we managed to show it them on their phones. Angie was manning the computer to make sure everything worked on the day. And it was a really good opportunity, to be honest, to speak to the entire partnership. And then we have done quite a lot of comms, and we've done road shows. We did on the sofa sessions where we went around each office and talked about it in a sort of interview, almost like this, Chris, in an interview sort of panel session where people were talking about the apps themselves and the information and the stories behind why it was so good, which was really successful.
Fantastic. And that's key, isn't it? The promotion, actually, we didn't talk about promotion during that, but promotion is so key to making them work and making sure that people understand what the use of the app is and what the audience is. So fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you, Carl.
You're welcome. So the next question is, you've already answered this part, was how were the apps launched, and was it only on mobile?
No, so we've got even what the tech is, a web app internally as well. Live Questions was just a web app because we wanted to be able to turn it around quicker than some of the phone stores would let us. So that was a web app very quickly. We've also done other things. So we have actually embedded apps in our website as well. Angie's done that. So that they're not all phone apps. I mean, we're an iPhone house, everybody's Apple, but we have looked at other ways to do it as well.
I think also for some of them, especially like Live Questions, it was involving quite a lot of documents where people might want to download them, and therefore it's actually quite a lot easier to do that on a desktop. So we decided that was also probably preferable. Yeah. And
I was going to say, it's probably some of it, I suppose, was content driven to what media works best. So fantastic. Yeah. Superb.
Thank you. So the next question is, how did you get your ideas from on paper to building an app?
A lot of coffee.
It was, wasn't it? Angie and I sat in a pod for a day with some very big paper and lots of highlighters, and we moved things around. And then we started to actually plan the app out. So we drew boxes and actually drew what we wanted on each screen with lots of lines linking things. I mean, it looked a mess on paper, but when we started to put together, it all started to work. I think I've still got those papers in the office. I'm going to find them again when I get back there.
Put them on the wall, yeah.
I'll probably wallpaper my office in them.
So we've got 2 more. The first one is, did you have a challenge? Did you have to find more resource for innovation? And how did you do that?
We do. I mean, we have had to find more resource for innovation. Angie and Charlie, who's our other project and innovation trainee, they were absolutely vital to the initial kind of apps that we've built. Angie did what the tech pretty much herself, which is fantastic. And I mean, she'd only been at the firm 2 months then.
Yeah, about that, yeah. And
then she had to get on stage in front of every partner in the business. No pressure. But it was, that's happened, and obviously they're now staying with us. So they were on a 2-year contract, but we've taken them both on as advisors as of September. But we have had to expand the team as well, to keep up with the demand, really.
And I was going to say, you've increased resource, but that's because it's successful, yeah? So
Yeah.
because it works, you're getting good solutions, you're getting good results from the solution. So actually, your investment, your return on investment is going to be fantastic. So
it's
Say
great.
the platform's so simple as well that a lot of the lawyer teams have taken on the role of doing all the admin sort of behind the scenes for their apps as well. So it doesn't always fall on the sort of the innovation team to actually manage the apps, because the lawyers are happy to do it themselves because it's so easy to use.
And I think that was leading on to one of my questions, actually, that Emma sort of answered earlier about managing stakeholders. I think something that's really important, certainly with rolling out multiple apps, is that the area of the business, the sector or the practice that owns that app actually does own it and does modify it and does innovate on it. And I think you've managed to do that really successfully, which is why you've got the momentum.
Definitely. I mean, we're there to facilitate it. We'll be involved in all the app calls and we'll make sure we know what's going on, because it's important for us to have oversight of what everybody's up to. But it is really important that if they've asked for this app, they want this app, it's their clients who are going to use the app, they need to understand it and they need to actually own it themselves. And they're great at understanding that, and they do want to.
Yeah,
not every lawyer, don't get me wrong, but the ones who are driving it are really keen to get their hands on it themselves.
Yeah, great, brilliant, great to hear. Have we got one more, Kyle?
Yeah, we've got one more. It's a bit of a chancer. So it's asking, what other apps have you thought about, or do you have sort of in the pipeline that you're allowed or you can talk about?
There was an awful lot on the wish list to begin with. We've got, as what the tech is, obviously our client-facing technology. We are looking at doing internal tech. I'm not quite sure how that acronym will work out, but we'll find something. So that's one, I mentioned that one earlier. But we're also looking at running a challenge on our innovation hub called What the App. See, Chris, I'm desperate to keep the theme going. And actually ask people what they need. We're very keen that we don't do anything for the sake of it. We actually need it to be a solution to a real problem. So that's where these ones have come from. And we have got a few in the phase 2, but I probably can't talk about all of them yet.
Not yet. Enough. Maybe later on another webinar in a year's time.
Awards anyway.
Absolutely brilliant, fantastic. Thank you, Carl. Really appreciate that. Some really good questions and good answers. So I've got one more slide to share before we go, just on our upcoming webinars. But before I do that, I just want to again thank all three of you from Mills Reeve. I think that was absolutely fantastic. The content you've put in and the time you've put in and the knowledge you've shared today was absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. Again, the people that joined the webinar, brilliant. So we have got 3 more webinars coming up. So we've got marketing with apps, more leads, more engagement, which is next Wednesday. Then how to reach your audience using mobile apps on Thursday, the 16th of September. And what's new, and an exclusive roadmap preview, which will show you what new features and templates and screen templates we've got coming up. And that's on Thursday, the 23rd of September. So we hope you enjoyed the session. We'd love to see you again on more of our webinars. We'll make sure we send you a link with a link to register for these webinars with a follow-up email after this one. But again, thank you, Mills Reeve. I think you're fantastic. Thank you, everyone else, for joining. Have a great rest of the day or evening.